Welcome to the Lead Well podcast. Around here, we believe leadership shouldn't cost you your peace, your well-being, or the parts of yourself you've worked so hard to reclaim. I'm your host, Trasetta Washington, leadership wellness coach and strategist, and my mission is to give you practical, actionable steps to help you reduce overwhelm, lead more effectively, and build a sustainable rhythm for both your team and your life. Let's dive into today's conversation. Welcome back, leaders. I'm excited to be back with you today for day 2, episode 2 of our 30-day series. Today, I want to share a piece of my own story that I haven't really talked about very much. Not because it's polished, but because it's real. Right? And that's part of my aim. I want to share with you real life scenarios that we as leaders face and how to navigate them, and sometimes, they're just not pretty. And so I'm sharing this too because I know that someone who's listening is probably standing in a very similar place. And if I can share a little bit of my own story and my own journey and help you, then by all means, that's what I'm going to do. Right? So 2025 was pretty rough for many reasons. There was just so much going on in the world, and but specifically, there was just a lot going on in my own world, and it really was this season for me where everything felt important and everything felt urgent. My responsibility just kept expanding, but my support didn't expand to keep up with that. Matter of fact, my support didn't expand at all. And, I was capable, right? I'm a really strong leader, but I was being stretched way thinner than I initially wanted to admit to myself. And leadership for me during that time period really started to feel like this constant pressure to hold everything together. There was this weight of expectations, both spoken and unspoken. And I started to feel like I couldn't afford to drop anything. Literally, there was nothing that I could drop or put on the back burner. And there was this conflict that I was experiencing internally between wanting to operate from a place of excellence, wanting to serve my clients, wanting to create this space for leaders to be able to lead their teams more effectively, right? So I wanted to walk in excellence there, but I was also exhausted. My mind, my body, my soul were just like quietly asking for relief. That's a lie. That's a lie. They were screaming. My body and mind were screaming for some sense of relief. And I just kind of kept telling myself, just push a little bit longer, right? The breakthrough is going to come. Something's going to shift. Something's going to change. Just hang in there a little bit longer. But then all of a sudden I started noticing these little warning signs, if you will, that I was trying to explain away, but I wasn't really able to explain them away. There was this exhaustion, this fatigue that even though I was taking time to rest, it wasn't fixing it. I would wake up exhausted. Even after taking time away, I would still be exhausted. And I had this growing sense that the pace I was operating at was not sustainable. And I started noticing that, hey, yeah, I was showing up, right? You would see me on socials, but I wasn't fully present. I was in this place of performance. I was performing. I was playing a role. I was no longer showing up as my true and authentic self. And leadership really started to feel heavier than it used to be. I realized that not only was I in this performative mode, but I was just kind of leading on autopilot. And what I ended up realizing is that I needed some boundaries. I needed some serious boundaries. And I want you to understand that boundaries aren't about saying no to people. Boundaries are really about saying yes to your actual capacity, right? When you don't have boundaries, then leadership and life just becomes reactive instead of being intentional. And so I kind of had to take a page out of my own book. I had to go back to my productivity basics. There are 3 pillars of productivity, and you need all 3 in order to be your most productive self. That's time, energy, and attention. And yeah, I had the time, but I did not have the energy. I was doing too much. And so my energy was being depleted. My energy was going in so many different directions that I wasn't able to be as effective as I could have, right? Energy really is a leadership asset. It should not be this afterthought. It should not be like, oh, well, I'll rest after this project is complete, or I'll rest when this particular milestone happens. All right. It really you need to think of your energy as an asset. And once I tapped back into that helped me to shift the way that I was leading. Because listen, you can't lead well if you're constantly depleted. Be short. You're going to be snippy. You're just not going to show up as your best self. And so what I realized is that I had started to tie my value back to performance. I had worked so hard to break free from that, to heal myself, if you will, from that mindset. And when life got difficult, when life started getting challenging, I went right back there. I tied myself right back to it. And it felt too risky for me to slow down, right? I needed to rebuild my revenue to a level that was going to sustain the lifestyle that I really desired. And that was more important in my mind at the time than taking care of myself. And so I ended up having to redefine who I was beyond what I produced, beyond the business that I have. And so I want to compare and contrast for you, if you will, performative leadership versus embodiment of leadership, right? I was in this place where I was in performance leadership. When you are in performance leadership, you are focused on holding an image, right? Appearing to be productive, appearing to be impactful, appearing to be successful. Whereas embodiment leadership is about alignment. and it's about presence. One is exhausting and the other one is sustainable. And, once I got real with myself and put pause on everything, I recognized that I had to completely shift the way that I was showing up in my business and leading others so that it aligned with the life I'm living right now. Not the life that I wanted in the future, not the life that I used to have, but the life that I am currently living. Because the way that I was working didn't work for the way my life was set up at the time. And so this, my story, my journey, if you will, is what really fuels the work that I'm doing today. Because I don't want leaders to wait until they're in the place like I was and completely depleted before they pause. The work that I do, or the work that I'm focused on, is about prevention, right? It's not just about recovery. It's about preventing yourself from getting there, getting to maxed out capacity or over capacity before you get there, right? And I want to help leaders to build their capacity before everything starts to feel heavy for them. And so I want to ask you, I have a question for you. Ask yourself this question, and I'm big on journaling, so if you're a journaler, grab your journal, grab a pen and paper, and or an app, whatever, and answer this question. Ask yourself, when did leadership start feeling heavier than it really should? Where is it that you might be in performance leadership instead of embodiment leadership or embodying leadership? And what is it that your leadership is asking of you now? So when did leadership start feeling heavier than it should? Where could you be performing instead of embodying? And what is your leadership asking for right now? So if any of my story felt familiar, I want you to know that you're not behind, you're not failing. The key really is awareness, right? Awareness is often that first turning point for you. And you don't have to figure out this next step by yourself. If you're craving more support, more clarity, and space for you to lead without burning out, then I want to invite you to join me inside the Lead Well Academy. It's a place where we can deepen these conversations. It's designed for leaders who want to lead with intention while also protecting their energy. You can find the link to join in the show notes. It's totally free. Take a look when time permits and it feels aligned, and whether you join or not. Thank you for walking with me in this conversation. Until next time, lead well and